All right, Steve. So here is how your bicycle is going to go into the box. You maybe notice that there are parts dangling everywhere. No problem. So the seat will come off as well, but that's pretty straightforward. So I think what you want to do when you first get it here is you'll have to obviously kind of untwist. You'll see that the fork, it will actually be straight on. And you have to make sure that's going the right direction. And then when you bring the handlebars up, all of the cables should sort of more or less go into place. That won't be a big deal. So I think the first thing you'll want to do is attach the handlebars. Just put them sort of loose so they stay put. And then that'll allow you to kind of work on everything else. It's a little tricky to get that plate on and all the bolts in just because you don't have enough hands, but it's pretty doable. So we'll assume that that's on there. I'll kind of hold it with my hand there. And now you can see that all the cables are out of their housings. So that isn't a huge deal. Here, the brake cable, the one going to the rear brake, what you'll do is you'll need to kind of pull on it. But you see if I pull back, it'll snap down into that housing. Then when you put the rear wheel in, I kind of show later in a different video how to attach that cable. So that one by itself isn't a big deal. The derailleur cable, which is on the other side, there's no tension on this here, but you'll see that I'll also put that into the housing. Okay, so then that's the front part of it. So come back to the back, grab that, put that in the housing like so, put that one in the housing like so, and now you'll notice that this one won't want to go in. You'll see that it needs to sort of stretch. So I'll show you how to do that. And what you want to do is grab the rear derailleur. Inside in that hole, you'll need a 5mm Allen wrench, as you probably are suspecting that everything uses by now. And then you'll see here where my finger is pointing, there's a little bit of a ledge. So what you do is, I'm trying to not make a big mess of it, but that screw, the end of that screw sits on top of that ledge. So it's not too complicated, but if you don't notice that, it's easy to get it on kind of backwards or not quite right. So let me hold this up correctly here. So hopefully you can see where that screw is, and then once you get it on there, you'll just tighten that bolt from, of course, the outside. You do want to be really careful with that because it's not too hard to damage these threads. So make sure you get it on nice and straight before you start tightening it. So once that's on there, we'll sort of pretend like it is. You'll be able to do this with one hand. It's going to be a little tricky for me, but if you push on this derailleur, knocking stuff over in my kitchen, as you can see, you can kind of push it to the side as if you were shifting into the inside cogs. When you do that, you see there now how it opens all the way up. It completely loosens up this cable. And now, again, with one hand I can't do it, I don't think, but that cable will now push into that housing. And of course, now you can see how when I start to release the derailleur, that appears to sort of shorten, and there you go. So now that's in. So assuming that this derailleur is attached here, now your shifter cable is all in place. And with the handlebars on there, all your cables have just been reattached. So it's a lot simpler with two hands, but it's actually doable with one, so it's not too complicated a process. So once you get all those together, you'll put the rear wheel in the dropouts. You should be, fairly familiar with that. You'll put the front wheel down in here. I show how to work with the front brake in a different video, but just so you see, there's you can see the space in between the pads there. You just want to be real careful when sliding that rotor up into that slot, that if you're not paying attention, you'll jam it here, and it'll be crooked and wherever else. So just kind of do that gently. Again, with the bike upside down, it may be easier, and I have that on a little bit later video. And looks like I'm going to be able to leave the stem intact. So you should be pretty well there in terms of the tightness on the headset. And then all you'll need to do is attach the pedals and then the seat, and then it should be ready. I realize I'm saying all you need to do are these 19 things, but they're all pretty straightforward. It's just bolting parts on. I don't think you're going to have any adjustments to do unless something goes weird in shipping. So that's what you're going to basically get out of your box. Have fun.